Hello, good people, and welcome to a special bonus filler episode of Off the Deep End, the Deep Listens podcast where we cover role-playing video games in depth. I am your host, Braden Arbitrary Water Redacted, the original anime movie of this podcast. Joining me, as always, is Chris Zombie Pie Redacted,
I'm here.
the episode of Naruto where they try to see what's under Kakashi's mask.
Mm-hmm.
Further joining me...
We get to talk about Juice, if we're Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah. Further joining me is that one time that Goku and Pikkon teamed up in the afterlife to fight in a tournament, Gino Grieco. Also known as That Pinguino on the internet.
That's me.
How much do we value the tournament arc in any given anime?
Are
we pro or anti?
I mean, if it's a shonen, I value it incredibly highly. It might be the only thing that matters.
I mean, people like Yu Yu Hakusho, they don't like it because of the not tournament arcs.
Hey, the second tournament arc is absolute dog shit.
Oh yeah, so no, people just mean the dark tournament.
And the arc after the dark tournament, shit ending aside, I like it. I think it's good. The evil detective stuff was good until they screwed up the ending.
Well, gentlemen.
Yeah, this isn't Oji-san.
Yeah. This isn't the Oji-san cast, although that should be dropping this week or next week.
Soon.
If it's not already out. But we are next.
Big O.
Yeah, we did Big O. That show was fantastic. Our next show, we're just doing the original Fooly Cooly. That's only 6 episodes. You too at home can join the discussion. If you pay us $3 American on patreon.com/deeplistens. If you only pay us $1, you can join the Discord and socially interact with us. And learn all of the bad things that Chris posts on the pod, on the Discord.
What if I don't want to talk to people? I'll find a way.
Sometimes we post good things. I don't know. You can also be comforted in knowing that your Patreon support will inevitably lead to both me and Chris, and probably Borgmaster, into playing Lunar Dragon Song. Which is, I'm to understand, a piece of shit DS game.
But Gino, you also have a torture pick coming up, if that happens.
Sure do. It would be one Duke Nukem Forever. A truly vile game, which...
I think that game is miserable. Me.
You can do, like I said on our last regular podcast, you can do the funniest thing in the world and make us do Duke Nukem Forever either directly before or directly after Super Lesbian Animal RPG.
I want you to promise these dear viewers that you promise that you'll actually complete the game.
Yeah,
just remember to turn on desync, Gino. Otherwise, the physics break. Not that there's any sort of clip of me finding that out.
I finished my plate, folks. That's what I do. I believe.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay. Let's talk about the endurance run.
So
I will go back
this
to that.
time. For this plate, we're stealing off of another's plate, which is to say, we are mining the main pod for content, like I was digging a mining tunnel underneath your mine so I could mine your mine while you mine your mine.
That's how people put it, right?
Yeah. So here at Off the Deep End, we would like to give authoritative and expert opinions on the RPGs covered by the main podcast. We did this once, all the way back when Jeff was still hosting, because we needed some extra time to kill, and we ranked Jade Empire and Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. But you guys played more than that.
We have. That's true. We've definitely played some games that you would have probably considered on your turf.
Yeah. And the good news is I have a list of them right here.
Excellent. And we haven't even finished Super Lesbian Animal RPG, which I feel like also could have been on your turf.
You know what? I'm going to give that one to M.
I know, but I'm just saying it's an RPG Maker game. It seems like the sort of thing y'all would cover.
Yeah. We have some RPG Maker games in our docket. But going all the way back to the 3rd episode of Deep Listens, you guys played a game called Fallout 3.
Yeah, we did.
You ever hear about this game, Chris?
Yeah, I played over 100 hours of that game back in the day, back when, Todd, good old Todd, wasn't a joke. When we were
Back
talking
when
about
Todd
in
was
Todd
the
We
god
Trust.
instead of a fraud.
From the makers of Tess V Skyrim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Elder Scrolls Travel Shadow Key. So Fallout 3, do we want to rank Fallout 3?
Sure. I've always had the personal theory that I think that again, there's an element to Fallout 3 where it's hard to look at it not as like this intermediary step for Bethesda.
Between Oblivion and Skyrim?
Yeah, between Oblivion and Skyrim. And there's no doubting that without this game, this series was dead, man. So I understand that the hardcore Interplay fans generally shirk away at it, which maybe.
I mean, yeah. I
But
remember, I was on the internet in 2008. I remember when people
Van Braun
were
wasn't coming
mad.
out, man. Van Braun was never coming out.
Van Buren.
Buren.
Van Buren was just a tech demo. And also, here's the thing: Van Buren did come out. It's called Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah. So,
like, Fallout New Vegas literally used a lot of the story ideas from Van Buren.
And I don't know how else to say this, but I don't think that in this world that we live in now, that they honestly get credit for popularizing Fallout in a way that it had never been that popular. Like Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 are very important video games, and that first game at least is way more accessible in terms of a early open world CRPG being like accessible and at least mostly approachable until you get into the butt ass end of it. But Fallout 3, jank aside, and even jank considering, was putting the CRPG on this path. It and BioWare, who will come up as well on this podcast, in terms of like, making this genre mainstream to a massive degree.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, I don't think it's necessarily bad that we now have, these discussions about, say, a Baldur's Gate 3 being the biggest goddamn game of the year when it came out. Like, you needed Fallout 3. It was important. Now, actually playing it, I don't know, man.
It's fine.
If you're not going to shoot using VATS, then you might as well just punch yourself in the dick or genitals.
No, you can't punch enemies in the dick anymore.
Yeah.
They got rid of that.
But
because they censored it. Back in my day, you could shoot people in the crotch in Fallout.
It feels it's hard to go back to the game in general.
I find playing even in 2008, I've found playing Fallout 3 to be the least fun part.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that game also, in terms of art direction, is maybe one of the biggest sufferers of
Unreal Brown,
of 7th generation gray brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the look kind of sucks. The implementation of VATS and how like the dice rolls are happening with gunshots is a little bit more egregious even than Elder Scrolls Combat. It's a pretty clunky game, all things considered. Um, it's a great time waster.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think that this game was pretty eclipsed pretty quickly.
So here's the weird thing that I think that maybe it this is apocrypha, but I understand that we live in this era where suddenly like New Vegas is now considered this seminal work of art. Braden and I have been kind of in discussions for a long time in terms of when did this happen? When did like the mollification, deification of New Vegas happen? And obviously part of it comes from the fan community basically salvaging that PC release or just any release of that game to where it's, remotely fun to play and not a teeming
Well,
dumpster fire.
it
But
also helps that yeah, they're even if you are doing everything right, New Vegas is a game that is still a nightmare to get running consistently on modern PCs.
yeah, it's people forget how rough that game was. And then also people who say that they think that New Vegas is better than 3,
Are
you like
correct.
ob- you like Obsidian storytelling because
Yes.
I hate to break it to people, but Bethesda's approach to that like open world, like have your own fun format, and the actual main story is completely ancillary to you making your own fun. That's actual Fallout 1 and 2. Like that is what Fallout was. And so to that degree, Fallout 3 is a bit more authentic to those early interplay games, more so than New Vegas, because New Vegas is a carefully crafted environment, world, and story. And it's much more guided, though it is using the same engine and combat systems. So I look at Fallout the same way I look at, say, Mass Effect. These were intermediary steps that led to important, glass wall shattering moments for the CRPG genre that allowed, for a level of mainstream acceptance of things. But I don't want to go back to it.
Very fair.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
how
don't
you
want to
feel, Braden.
I don't want to replay Fallout 3 ever again. I liked it a lot at the time. I
Mhm.
think one could say some things about perhaps that game's ending for the main story and the wildly varying quality of the DLC. But
And again, I guess like here's where I kind of like put my foot down. Yo, the ending of Fallout 1 wasn't great either.
it makes sense. It fits that game.
Yeah. And then Fallout 2
Also, no
has
one gives a shit about Fallout 1 except
the
us.
Fallout 2 final boss is also kind of super anticlimactic. That battle against Frank Horrigan is just a waste of your time.
Problem is the only people who care about Fallout 1 and 2
Or
are
us.
currently are us and people currently getting their
Hair
prostate
transplant.
exams
Or
scheduled.
I'm I'm in my early 30s and I've already had my first prostate exam, but that was for
Exactly.
different reasons. Yeah.
Fallout
Yep.
3 is when the Fallout 3 remaster inevitably comes out in, let's
It,
say, the next 2 years.
it would be interesting to see because that game exists in a microcosm for
Yeah.
me, and I think for a lot of people. I So I don't know. Do you know any last words in terms of like thinking back to like Fallout 3?
I mean, I think that the game is still a fun thing to trudge through. It is a great time waster still. So, I just remember a lot of the moral decisions and things being pretty superficial in this game. It was
Yeah.
very cartoony how it handled its morality system.
I mean, that was just the way
That was the
that you
height
went
of
about it. Like
yeah.
that was like I mean, I hate to like bring it up, but we talk about like the dynamism of those early BioWare games. They literally color coded blue is good guy, red is bad guy. Like they did
Look,
that. Like it's
I'm not saying that it's better, like, or it's meaningfully worse. I'm saying it's similar in its look. You had a lot of RPGs around this time that were just operating in kind of black and white sort of decision making. Um, and it made playing through this game, it feels a lot more like you're playing around with like a toy, than playing a story that's super meaningful. At least for me, I don't remember it being like it's fun to mess around and kill random characters or like blow up Megaton or save Megaton. I don't remember identifying super strongly with any of the characters or any of the really like quote unquote difficult moral decisions.
I mean,
And that's
I don't
I don't
know.
know
I
that
don't
that's
know
something.
if that was ever like the creative intent with Fallout. It really was about, well, outside of New Vegas, it really was about, again, make your own fun. Make your own fun.
It's a sandbox. Walk around.
Walk around. So it's weird. I don't know. Um, are there actually better games out there? I think the weird thing is, though, you have to give like Bethesda credit. No one really makes their style of open world anymore. There's usually
No one
more
ever did.
grit. There's more
No.
like form and function. So I don't
All
know.
right.
Let's rank it.
Is Fallout 3 better or worse than Hybrid Heaven?
Yes, it's better.
Okay.
What's the do we have any other open world RPGs?
bit.ly/OTDE rank to see our
That's a good
list.
question. Do we have open world? I mean, I guess Risen is the closest thing, right?
Yeah, Risen is the other open world RPG from that
Look,
era.
I
From
respect Risen. I would not in any
Ri-
way, shape,
Risen
or
isn't
form.
about fun. It's about suffering.
Yeah, I would not tell someone, even as a joke, to play like Elex
No.
over Risen or over s- Fallout 3. Um. So what's above Hybrid Heaven?
Anachronox. No, we can skip forward a little bit.
Yeah, we can skip forward if
What
that's what we got.
what would you think it's an actual comparison to?
So it's weird because we're looking at other retro games. Like I look at like Dragon Quest 1
Yeah.
and it goes above Dragon Quest 1.
Retro games like Fallout 3.
Yeah, I know what you're getting at, but you get what I'm saying in
How
that
dare
like
you?
those older, more rudimentary games.
Yeah.
This is
Would you rather
Fallout 3 is more than
Yeah.
that.
Is Fallout 3 better or worse than Dragon Age 2?
All right, this I think is an interesting debate. At least,
I would rather play Dragon Age 2.
you would rather play Dragon Age 2, huh?
Yep. Yep.
I'd rather play Fallout 3 than Legend of Dragoon.
Yep.
Did we find the answer?
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
rather show someone NBA 2K16 featuring a Spike Lee joint
Yeah.
than Fallout 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
probably
Congratulations to our new number 21 tentative Fallout 3. Good job, Bethesda.
You made a banger. Also, congratulations in your recent release of the
Oblivion.
remaster. Seems like people
It's
like
the
that.
same game.
It's just as jank as before, and I love it. Don't change a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So next game, episode 12 of the Deep Listens podcast, back when it was Gino, Pete, and Billy.
Oh, I mean, in
Child
hindsight,
of
it
Light.
was fun going back to some of these episodes, where you all didn't figure out the format, and it was like 3 games on one podcast. I don't know how the fuck you guys did that.
That only happened once. That only happened once, and we learned
I have
never to do
no
that again.
idea how you could ever convince yourself that would be a good idea, but yeah, sure.
It was
What's
thematic.
the next game?
Child of Light.
Child of Light.
I like the obviously like the best thing going for that game is that it's gotten distinct art style. Similar to Billy, I also made the Black Pearl, so I actually 100%ed this game.
I'm
It is
sorry.
interesting that it used the Grandia combat system, that kind of conditional that conditional timeline based systems, and there are people
Yep.
who like have different buffs and debuffs. So I do appreciate that game like giving you a reason to use the buff and debuff characters. The story is a nothing burger, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, but at the same time it's hard to really call it an ambitious thing.
I mean, this was back when Ubisoft was trying to make video games that weren't Assassin's Creed.
Remember when they released this and Grow Home at the same time? And it's like, oh wow, Ubisoft is making small.
Oh, look, they're
games.
making cool smaller games.
So it's straightforward and simple to its benefit, but also I think in hindsight to its detriment. I have a hard time getting upset at how simplistic it is, but then also I ain't getting out of bed for it.
I've never played Child of Light.
It's an interesting system. Like I said, it's the Final Fantasy. It's like a weird amalgam of the Final Fantasy X conditional based, timeline based system.
But you can do interrupts like Grandia.
Mm-hmm. But you don't have to worry about the placement of your characters, because they're just stuck on like this battlefield. So it's good. The cast of characters is very small, wouldn't you say, Gino? And so the environments that you're in end up becoming puzzles where, because there's not enough or a ton of enemy variety or environmental variety, it is what are the most efficient routines for every encounter in this environment or this dungeon. And everything has like 2 alternate paths, one that leads you to the end terminus of this dungeon, and the other gives you a trinket that makes you slightly better. The numbers go up.
Yeah, this is a very generic implementation of the Grandia combat system. Like, it works. It's totally fine. Pretty unremarkable. I don't remember the story even being especially remarkable.
Yeah, the girl goes into alternate dungeon. Or
it's all in
alternate
iambic
dimension.
pentameter, though.
That's true.
You know what? That was the thing that a lot of people are like, oh, they put a lot of time and effort into the writing. That the writing in that game is obnoxious. Like, everyone speaking in rhymes is actively like, oh god, it's too twee, it's too fuzzy mittens. But man, it's an incredible look.
Yeah. A good looking game that is otherwise, like, playing it is fine. I don't remember there being too much depth to the combat if you've played a Grandia style combat system before.
Or even like Final Fantasy X again.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X. Somehow, if you played the Penny Arcade games 3 and 4, they play like this.
Oh, didn't the Penny Arcade games get on a podcast? No. You know what I'm thinking? Man, this is like nostalgia trip. This is back in the day when Gino A wrote blogs that were like textual permutations of this stuff. Remember Deep Listens, like actual deep looks?
Yep.
Your visual tours. You did a Penny Arcade episode.
I did.
Like way back when, where you were talking about how you actually liked that combat system. Man.
I do.
10 years ago.
And I think that game, those Penny Arcade 3 and 4, just did more with this combat system, and they were kind of contemporaries. So it's interesting to see other indie games made by different developers use the same, like, be inspired by the same combat system and yet do so much more with it. This feels like a more beginner's RPG in a way, which is fine. That's fine. It's, there should be games for people to get on board into this stuff, but as RPG sickos,
aficionados.
Yeah, this game wasn't really for us.
I would say this, like, I think it does serve a very good to decent purpose as a baby's first or person's first JRPG. Even if I think that system, that combat system, doesn't really get sustained anywhere else, especially with Grandia being a dead franchise. But it's definitely up there. So this gives me a good like point of where we should start, Braden, for ranking it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about our other pick for good intro to the genre game.
Uh-huh.
Is this game better or worse than Quest 64?
Mm.
That game's not actually as bad as people make it out to seem.
It's our number 50 game.
All right. It's better than that. What's up? Let's say number 40.
Number 40 is Ultima 9.
It's better than Ultima 9. What's number 30?
Number 30 is Risen.
It's better than
currently.
Risen because it's a functional
it?
game. It's a functional video game.
That you place too much emphasis on functionality, sir.
I mean, it's better than Saga 2 and Deus Ex: The Conspiracy, right? And Anachronox?
Is it?
I'm asking. I haven't played
I don't
those
know. I
before.
haven't played it.
It's not that good. Like, it's totally... It is, as ZP said, kind of a baby's first JRPG.
I would rather play the compromised PS2 version of Deus Ex. Sight Unseen. Based
So you
entirely
would-
on superficial
Okay,
judgments.
then let's go back to this. You think this goes below Risen?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't played it.
Anachronox seems like it is more interesting than this game.
Sure.
And you know what's below? Know what's below Anachronox?
Hybrid Heaven, which also seems like it is more interesting than Child of Light.
I'm not going to stop you guys. If you want this, you can get this.
Okay.
How
Congratulations
is Nox?
to our new number 35.
Okay. This is
Tales
such a
of
weird
Light.
list.
Yeah, I don't know that you could make me play Child of Light again.
Our new number 36.
Mm. Okay.
Just because there's no reason to. There's nothing to be gained. I feel like.
Also, there have been other games doing similar kinds of things.
Yeah.
Better.
I look better. Too.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 15 of Deep Listens. You guys played a game called Undertale.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
Undertale. AKA Undertale.
Yeah. So, congratulations to our new number 75.
How
No,
dare you?
I have a comment from Adam Borgmaster Redacted that he would
Yes.
like
Oh, boy.
to share. Quote,
Does he think that that Undertale should have won Game of the
Undertale
Year over
fans don't
latest?
bathe enough. I want to reiterate that I make no comment on the quality of Undertale, just that its fans smell bad.
That's a great point. Irrelevant to the ranking of the quality of the
Yeah.
game. As someone who's played Undertale semi-recently, or some Undertale, I haven't finished it recently.
Mhm.
I've played it some fairly recently. That game's still good.
I still like Undertale.
That game is still funny.
Even though the people who played that game are weird, and the fan community that sprung around that was a bunch of 15-year-old kids who had discovered fandom for the first time, or a bunch of Homestuck people, which Homestuck people.
But I think that Undertale's combat still very novel for the
Yeah.
time.
It's still
Being-
funny.
Being
It's
an
not
RPG,
very long.
It's an RPG that's also kind of a bullet hell shooter. That is still super novel, not super long. Navigating the combat in pacifist runs is very interesting. You know, finding the ways to get through fights without killing is pretty cool still. And you can still play it as a more normal RPG
Yeah.
if you want to.
I don't know. I think that how much do you think Undertale really does rely on you like immersing yourself into that, like getting into the weeds and like
No.
looking at the code and
None.
finding the different
Not at all.
endings?
Not at all.
No.
The people who really love that series and everything that guy makes will tell you that that is a part of like
Okay,
the
but
appeal.
what if I told you that Undertale fans don't bathe enough?
Okay, that's a good
You
point.
don't. It's not Fez. You don't have to be a sicko to enjoy Undertale.
No,
for
you
what
can
it is.
enjoy Undertale entirely in the text presented towards you. You don't need to do all of the weird mystery solving that
Mhm.
people got into.
The music of that game is very good. The story of that game is
They
very
let
fun.
Toby Fox make music for Pokemon now.
Yeah. Toby Fox. It's not fair that Toby Fox can write a good game, code a good game, and compose a great soundtrack, but Toby Fox can. It's fucked up. Yeah, I would say you have the opportunity to right a great wrong.
Yeah. Hey, of the games you played in the year 2016, 2015?
Jesus. Something like that.
Oh no, Gino. Gino.
Yeah.
What?
2015 was 10 years ago.
It was.
Hold on, I'm pulling back. Okay, it looks like you first started uploading episodes of the podcast 7 years ago to YouTube,
Okay.
but
That doesn't
that
mean
doesn't
that was the
help.
earliest. I'll check. I can check the podcast page to see
It's
when it
okay.
first went up.
Anyway, I think Undertale's pretty good. Like in a non-shitty dismissive fashion. I like Undertale. I also played it
Undertale's
once
okay.
and had a good time with it once.
Oh man, that
And-
Yep, it was 2015, huh?
Oh no.
So you've been
It
doing this
wasn't-
for 10 years, man. How's that feel?
Wasn't quite 10 years ago, but it feels
When are
great.
you gonna like do a special like 10-year anniversary soiree? Like when are we
We
gonna
should do that. We should do that. Are we technically over the 10-year mark? Oh, the 10-year mark is in May, so we have not
Oh,
quite hit 10
good.
years.
Oh, good.
Jesus.
We're
Dog,
old
you've
and
been
going
doing
to
this for
die,
10
much like
years,
the video
bro.
game Undertale.
So, looking at the video game Undertale and your list,
Yes.
is it better than Gothic?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's better than Ogre Battle 64, right?
I don't know. Is
I
that
mean,
really above
listen.
Gothic?
Yeah, Ogre Battle 64 is above Gothic. Because you and Jeff did not buy into my argument. You were filled with malice and hatred.
Well, I went down a dark path when I played that game. Maybe I now know why a certain someone rage subscribed to Deep Listens for our podcast. Now that
I mean,
look at
Ogre
this
Battle
list.
64 still in the top 10.
I don't. So really, we're talking about bumping Ogre Battle below and out of the top 10, and
I'm not putting it
Undertale.
above Scald.
No, not for us.
Not for us, not for me, not for perhaps for them, perhaps for thee, but not for me. Deep Listens, you see.
That's
I
fine.
might actually. So you want to put it above Ogre Battle, but below Scald?
I would put it above Ogre Battle, or I would put it above Eternal Sonata.
Actually, that is fair. That's fair. That's maybe the most fair proposal I've heard. Is put it above Eternal Sonata.
It's
And below
significantly
Fire
better than
Emblem
Eternal
1.
Sonata.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait,
But
yeah, it's better than Fire Emblem 1.
Is it?
Go listen to that soundtrack again.
I'm raising my eyebrows up and down.
It is because that Fire Emblem 1 doesn't even have like the triangle of power mechanic. It's pretty.
I love the triangle
Basic.
of power.
Go-
All right.
Go fight
Fine.
Nabstablook again, and then have him make
Yeah, you're
his
right.
his top hat made of tears.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. We'll put it above Ogre Battle 64.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. After this, in the year of our Lord 20 16, you played a game called Mass Effect.
Ah,
I don't know if this is an RPG.
I think the original Mass Effect is.
The original Mass Effect's definitely an
I
RPG.
don't know if Mass Effect 2 is. But the
All
original
right,
Mass Effect
so
definitely is.
congratulations to our
You
new
guys
number.
originally gave me so much shit when I made that argument that I don't think Mass Effect 2 is an RPG, but Mass Effect
No,
1
I
is.
I want to be clear here. That's not why I'm giving you shit. My point is
Oh.
that Mass Effect 1 is a bad RPG.
Oh. Oh, boy. But
The part where you play that
Paragon.
game, the part where you invest in the systems of that game, none of that feels good.
I don't
mean,
know,
he's
making
not
things
wrong. Like
float.
It
the
is a
core
clunky
shooting,
action RPG that barely functions as intended.
Yeah, but
And
you can
it's
turn
a
that stuff into
shitty
gel.
the fact that
yeah,
it's a shitty shooter that you just somehow like over time make less shitty.
and all of the unexplored planets just having like one
Are just
outpost where you just fight
absent
people
voids of
going, enemies
nothingness.
everywhere.
And then you just need to like find the 3 points on that empty planet with the Mako that are worth exploring, and
I
most
haven't
of it is
played Mass
just
Effect 1. Just to be clear, I haven't played Mass Effect 1 in about 15 years.
I mean, I have.
Maybe it's still great.
All the negative things I said about Fallout 3, where the dice rolls mean that your bullets just don't go where you want them to,
Yeah.
entirely true about Mass Effect 1. There are
Yeah.
so many things in Mass Effect 1 that completely invalidate the combat. Like if you put biotics on a thing,
Yeah.
you just wail on it with bullets because
Yep.
it cannot fight back. Your party is very overpowered in some ways because they don't have to obey line of sight the way that you do,
Mhm.
which makes using their abilities more powerful than using your own.
Yep.
It just generally is a clunky RPG, and I think the characters get way better in Mass Effect 2 for
Yeah.
the most
Sure.
part. But man, did they knock that world and feel out of the park the first time. Like that is
Yeah,
still the
that
thing, that the
that film
promise of
frame was
that
so
universe.
good. I was willing to tolerate a bad frame rate, and also that soundtrack, man.
The promise of that universe carried so much weight.
Yes. Back when things had promise. Back when you could believe.
We believe.
I have to go.
Yes, we can.
And then yeah. Exactly.
So where does this thing go?
Where does this thing go?
Let's start in the middle and work
Let's
our
start
way
with
up.
start with the middle.
It's better than Hybrid Heaven.
Okay, what if we just went all the way up to, I don't know, Dragon Age 2 and Fallout 3?
Okay.
I would rather play it than Fallout 3.
I would yeah.
Yeah, but not by much.
Not by as much as you think,
Yeah, yeah.
but then would you rather
And to
play
be
it than
clear, we're
Dragon
talking
Age?
about the original version of Mass Effect 1, not the version in the Legendary
Remastered
Edition where they
version.
made the shooting less bad and the frame rate better and the
Yeah.
loading screens better.
Yeah.
So is it better than Dragon Age 2?
I mean,
Yeah.
this is where I would probably go, maybe, but maybe that is the contrarian speaking.
I mean, I think that it's probably.
But imagine how much feedback and engagement we would get if we said Dragon Age 2 was better than Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't know.
How
The
many
the
people
problem
would
is that
angrily rage subscribe to our Patreon to tell us
the,
we're wrong?
the obvious thing is though with Dragon Age 2 is like there's a giant hole in that
Yeah,
game.
no, that Dragon Age 2 was cobbled together in like a year, and you can tell.
And I don't know if that's
whereas
any
Mass Effect
better or worse than say Mass Effect's
Mass Effect was in development for something like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I would rather play it. But it ain't going above King of Dragon Pass.
Mm-mm. I will take that Nightmare Factory any day over you know, Mass Effect.
I
Or
mean,
sorry,
Mass Effect
yeah.
Andromeda is all the way down in like 53.
Yeah.
So, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that feels good.
So it is
All right.
above or below Dragon Age 2?
It's above Dragon Age
It's
2.
above Dragon Age 2, but we're not
Above.
putting it above King of Dragon Pass because we're sickos and this is our fucking
This
podcast.
is my fucking podcast, and
Mhm.
if I had my way, Wizards and Warriors 2000 would be in the top 10, even though it's like barely functional and
Although
janked as
I
fuck.
would say that original fully narrated Encyclopedia Lore Bible just is it's up there
Yeah,
with
the
King of Dragon
Codex.
Pass in terms
I-
of best lore
It's like
Bibles.
lore, yeah. All right, well, here we've reached one of the most important things, because I believe this is where I started to listen to Deep Listens. It's episode 34. You guys covered Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood,
Hell yeah.
a video game
boy.
I own and have played like 3 hours of.
That's the right
It's
amount.
bad.
It sucks shit. Oh
It's-
man, it's so bad.
It's a miserable video game. They tried to do the Mario RPG thing, but with purely stylus controls, and
Yep.
it's fucking awful.
It's not good.
If you
I think
thought
the other weird thing is that it has maybe the worst soundtrack of anything that we've ever
Yes,
played.
because whatever the original soundtrack was going to be
Was incompatible with
it
the
was
DS
incompatible with
sound
the
chip.
DS.
So they had to back engineer it and make it with the default sound chip using
Sound font,
generic
yeah.
sound fonts.
Which
in
is
the
why it
DS.
sounds like bleeps and bloops.
it sucks
Uh,
bad. So if you enjoyed the hot collaboration that was Super Mario RPG with, at the time, best Japanese developer of RPGs, Squaresoft, and Nintendo, the hottest IP. What if we did that with Sonic the Hedgehog and the hottest American developer, BioWare?
hmm
This
Yeah.
game, its stylus controls, I cannot emphasize enough. It is a mobile game that you cannot play on the move.
hmm
Like if there is any movement going on, if you were in a car or a bus or a train, you cannot play this game. The stylus controls are that finicky.
Yes, and this was, I think, the one like real quote unquote game from BioWare's very short-lived mobile division. They also did like a Dragon Age mobile game and probably some sort of Mass Effect tie-in thing, because that
Yeah.
their early 2010s were the era of that. Yeah, no, I think it's a miserable playing game. Thankfully, it doesn't emulate well, so I will never have to play it in front of people on stream. Unless I mod a capture card into my 3DS.
But is it the worst Sonic game that you've ever played?
No.
because it's not
No.
Sonic 06. But it's not interesting enough. It's not as interesting or curious
But
as
Sonic
Sonic
06 is fascinating because it's a
Yeah.
game that is melting in front of you.
It's
I
a
mean, this game is
disaster.
melting in front of you. It's so poorly conceived.
Yeah.
They invent a new echidna.
Yeah.
They try to do a morality system, but like the options are for Sonic
Nice
to eat
guy
a chili
and
dog or
jerk.
not.
And it ends on
Yeah.
a cliffhanger that will never be addressed ever again.
Oh,
Yeah. All right, so is Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood
better than Jade Empire.
It's worse than Jade Empire.
It's worse by a lot.
Yeah, right.
So here's how low I would be willing to go. I would put Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood only above the GBA version of Lord of the Rings: The Third Age.
And that game's also
That game is
equally non-functional.
balls. Yeah.
It's a lane-based tactics or strategy game that
Was clearly made by 6 people in 3 months.
and it's a GBA game, so it sounds like shit and it looks
Yeah.
like shit.
Yep.
Good news, Sonic Chronicles: Cole and the Dark Brotherhood also
Oh,
sounds and
oh.
looks like shit.
That said, it's interesting how
It's
they tried to
ambitious.
make an RTS game or on a
Yeah.
GBA.
Yeah.
Um,
A
and it,
lane-based tactics game. It's just not good.
so I would actually put it below the
Oh, okay.
GBA first stage game.
Would you put it
What's
above the Tower of Druaga or Revengers of Vengeance?
So I almost want to put it below Tower of Druaga due to historical precedence with
Yeah.
that game, but I am not putting it above Revengers of Vengeance.
You're not putting it below Revengers of Vengeance?
No, I'm not going to. Because
All right.
Revengers of Vengeance is true Kuso. Though,
Yeah.
yes, I guess you could make an argument that Sonic Chronicles, the Dark Brotherhood, fucking, I don't get the full name right.
Okay,
I
it's
don't
now the
care.
lowest rated. It's now the lowest rated BioWare game.
Okay,
It's
yay.
below Anthem, even.
Yeah,
It's
Anthem's
pretty
a
bad.
functional video game.
Anthem's a functional video game. It has no soul.
But I would take,
Sonic Chronicles: The Dark
that over
Brotherhood is
Sonic.
a stillborn abomination of a video
Mhm.
game.
It's like, yeah, Anthem is what if ChatGPT actually made a video game?
Yeah.
Whereas, what would you do if someone that was suffering a stroke would make a video game? Then you get Sonic.
What if you were
The Dark
given a bunch of
Brotherhood
money to make mobile games because it was 2009
and you thought it was the future?
and you're like, all right, you know what's good? Mario and Luigi. Let's do our own one of those. All right, number 49, episode number 49 is a video game called Magic Pangle, which I
Yeah!
understand is a speedrun
Yeah.
classic.
I've not played this game, but I feel like I've watched Gino play this goddamn game like 7 times to where
Yeah. I have not played this
okay.
game either.
Here's the deal. I guess this is where we have to kind of grill Gino. If I'm
Yeah.
not playing Magic Pangle for speedrun purposes and I'm playing it as rules are presented, like rules the way that it is intended, what kind of experience am I getting? Because I'm not going to play it the way that you play it, Gino. I'm going to play it like I want to actually make like a carefully crafted creature with different colors, like not just
You don't
random
want a
blobs.
blob with arms?
No, like how is that? Like does that actually
Yeah.
is that actually fine?
Yes, it is a pretty darn robust drawing system for a PS2 RPG. Like you can make some cool looking stuff that animates well with its dynamic systems. You can't, and there's systems I never engage with, like buying doodles that are pre-made or buying more part palettes so that you can actually draw more appendages and stuff. I never engage with that, but you can. And if you're going to spend your time, battling against the different AIs, all the different members of the town, or there is 2-player mode, like you can battle against your friends' drawings. That's fun in a Pokemon sort of way, to see how that stuff animates and what the system spits out for you. It is rock, paper, scissors, though, in its combat. Like, there's only so much depth to the combat. The depth is really in the drawing system. And what you can create. The combat, like, you can get slightly better doodles by drawing them differently, but it doesn't matter too much because at the end of the day, you're just playing rock, paper, scissors.
I mean, that sounds fine. It also seems like it's still a very rudimentary system that's in a very short, very low stakes game.
Yeah.
I guess, I have
mean,
to be
it's
careful
a
with
neat.
saying
It
it's low
seems neat.
stakes because it shoots a fucking child with a gun, but
The story is what carries this thing. This is maybe one of the more bonkers stories you can encounter on the PS2. Especially rated E for everyone. Especially rated E for everyone.
Yeah. He pulls out a gun and shoots that kid.
Yeah.
He drained the color out of a dude and basically forced choke him.
Yeah.
These 2 kids get their land taken away by the government.
Too soon, man. Too close.
A girl gets pushed down the stairs by an evil authoritarian, and then they give her medicine that cures her of being pushed down the stairs. It's made of the hand of the Doodle King.
Oh no!
Yeah. He uses the color from his own hand to make the
I
medicine.
feel like the medicine that would help you from falling down the stairs is called ibuprofen, but
Oh, he turns his hand into a color gem, and they make that into a potion that this
oh
girl
god.
drinks.
Uh,
Hey, remember that part where you have to fight all of these failed abominations, and they're like, "I'm not the Doodle King," and then they melt and scream in
yeah,
pain?
yeah.
Rated E for everyone.
Rated E for everyone.
You go to an
Agetech
underground
published that over here.
fighting arena, and then it gets raided by the cops.
I think the fact that neither Chris nor I have played this game probably disqualifies it from ranking.
Well, you've seen me play it enough.
But also, I've seen you play it, and I don't know, it seems okay.
I think that where we should start with it is maybe Tale of Game Studios presents Chef Boyardee's Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden Chapter 1 of the Hoops Barkley Saga.
Yes.
Because it is a game that I think is a lot more interesting to talk about the wild shit that happens in it than play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Would you rather play Time and Eternity or Magic Pendulum?
I mean, Magic
Time and
Penguin, 'cause-
Eternity has a Yuzo Koshiro soundtrack.
Yeah, but Time and Eternity is a genuinely miserable game.
I mean, it's anime horseshit all the way down.
Magic Pendulum is a very simple combat system, but it does not hate you.
Okay, then I would put it, I don't know, maybe around Metabots then.
I think it goes above Metabots though,
I think
because
so.
like that game's just as much as I think that Metabots is like brain pill for a kid circa the early
Yeah.
2000s or like early aughts. Magic Pangle feels like it's just immediately a more pleasant experience. I would go with
Okay.
Magic Pangle over Metabots.
Okay. What about the Elder Scrolls Battlespire?
Oh,
Because I think that
boy.
game's interesting. It's not good.
Is that the one for the
No,
N-Gage?
Battlespire is the one that is.
It's a first person.
It's kind of
arena
a first person deathmatch game, but the single
Yeah.
player.
What if they made their
it's a
own version
recursive
of-
nightmare because basically they took the Daggerfall engine and they made a Ultima Underworld
Yeah.
using the Daggerfall engine.
Yeah.
Also, it's a deathmatch game. Like the online multiplayer was a big selling point.
Yep.
I based entirely on seeing Gino play Magic Penguin, I would rather play Battlespire because I'm sick in the head.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're sick in the head, and I'm sick in the head in a different way. You
Yeah.
can be above Metabots Meta B, because I have played that, and it's
I don't
not
think
as
those games are
insane.
very good.
It's nowhere near as
Um,
insane.
Next on this is the Square, everyone's favorite game from the summer of Square, the hottest game of that
Yep.
release slate of amazing SquareSoft games in 2000. I'm of course talking about Threads of Fate.
Oh, hell
And
yeah.
definitely not, Chrono Cross or Legend of Mana, which are the other two games that came out in the summer of 2000 from Square.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Threads of Fate is weird.
Sure is.
Sure is.
I guess the question, is this really an RPG? I mean, there are stats that
It's
go up, but it's really an
kinda-
action game.
Yeah, I mean, so's Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's true. But there's no decisions, really,
Yeah.
in Threads of Fate.
The numbers do go up, though.
It do go up, though, and you do cast
You have
spells.
stats. You have
You have stats.
party
This
members
game is
technically.
interesting.
It
I
is.
have not played very much of it.
It's a game that I play like 2-3 hours of and then go like, they really tried something different with this. And then I kind of like don't feel inspired, especially to like actually follow through and finishing
I
it.
think as far as weird freak games made by Square, in the peak Square era,
Yeah.
I would say the problem with Threads of Fate is that it's not fucking crazy enough.
I think the other thing is that it's, Square was experimenting. You gotta give them credit. Like when they wanted to do an experiment, they fully committed to the bit, and this is definitely a game where they did something truly and authentically unique to them. I kind of actually do have to join Gino though in saying I don't know if this is truly entirely an RPG.
Okay, then we can skip it.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
just 'cause
Gino, what do you think? Like, do we disqualify it, or what do you think?
I mean, I would probably lean towards disqualifying it just because the stats do go up, but ultimately what you're doing is casting spells and like jumping and kicking stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
You're leveling up and you're doing slightly more damage, but parts of it it's a lot more of a just side scrolling action adventure game than it
Okay.
is an RPG.
All right.
Mhm.
Episode 85. Was this when you had M?
What game?
Deltarune.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I
that
think
was
this might have been
one.
M's first game.
Okay. Deltarune episode 1. Here's the thing. Given that all of Deltarune is finally going to come out at the end of in like 2 months,
It feels
I don't
odd
know.
to rank it now.
Yeah. My feelings on Deltarune are basically my feelings on Undertale. I don't know how you feel. But I didn't play episode 2 of Deltarune. And at this point, I figured I might as well just wait for the whole thing to be out.
And now it's going to come out.
And now it's going to be
Actually,
out.
I think that this is really the odd like knock against Deltarune is that it feels like it is leading up to something, and it's like this interstitial episode, and so by itself it kind of feels not necessarily empty but incomplete by itself in a lot of ways. Not to say that I think it's bad, but it it truly does end in an awkward spot. It builds up all of this mystery that we still don't know what like the purpose or like intent is. And so it just kind of like as a vibes piece, it's still the Toby Fox great
Yeah.
music and the, iconic visuals, and there are characters that kind of just stick with you.
There's the optional boss who is like so powerful that he creates primitive 3D polygons and voice acting, which is
So the
boy,
game
that's real
has
good.
ideas. It's still incredibly creative, but it also doesn't really finish.
No.
And I
Nope.
remember this coming up on the main podcast. Is like, yeah, this is a cool thing. We sure do hope that the next episode comes out in at least a few years, and it didn't, but it's coming soon.
It did. Episode 2 came out.
But it has definitely
Um,
been a while that this has been in production.
yes.
But I think as a standalone game, it's fun. I would still,
Yeah.
given the sorts of games y'all play, I would just say it can't be higher than Undertale.
I'm not gonna rank it because it's
Okay.
not done.
Okay, that's fair.
I like Deltarune in the same way I like Undertale. Ask me when I see how Deltarune finishes on my Nintendo Switch 2. Okay, Golden Sun. Congratulations to our new number 75. Golden. No.
I've always maintained I think Golden Sun as a franchise is overrated, and it benefits highly from a bunch of people playing it and it being their first JRPG because again, you missed the PlayStation era. And so your first JRPG was that first Golden Sun and then that second Golden Sun. And so people who talk about how, oh my God, the story in Golden Sun 2 is so dynamic, they really don't know where the genre was because that was kind of their thing.
Yeah, I would say Golden Sun. It's an average. It's a very mediocre RPG. It's
People
fine.
who talk to you about how that Jin system is so malleable and dynamic, they're so full of shit. I'm sorry.
No, you just the secret was, and this I did this as a child, is you just give people the gin of their same element and you'll be fine.
The idea that there was this dynamism in like experimenting with Jin, that was bullshit.
And the character building, it's like, yes, that stuff is there. You don't need to engage with it at all. And that's fine. I do wish Camelot would be allowed to make more than one Mario Sports game every 3 years. Especially since those Mario Sports games have been getting worse since the GameCube.
Everyone really hated that last Golden Sun game.
People really hated that DS one. Listen, as Chris and I are members of the Golden Sun Haters Club, in as much as I agree that game's significance and relevance is entirely because it was an early Game Boy Advance game, and a lot of people
just grew up with it.
Just grew up with it. Like there's nothing offensively bad about it. I just think it's if it came out on the PS1, it would be considered very average, I guess is how I'd say it. Like,
yeah, if it came out on the PS1, it just simply would not be regarded that highly. Like it would not. It doesn't punch with Breath of Fire 3, or Suikoden 2, or any of that stuff. Like a bunch of the PS1 games, I don't think it punches with Legend of Legaia, for example. And that's a game that also is kind of like middle of the road, or like Legend of Dragoon. It would be significantly lower. But some people, I think, just hold it higher because they played it first.
Again, I think I'm not saying that people are wrong in having nostalgia or love for the game. I think that, however, it gets so much more credit than it actually deserves in being something that it actually wasn't. That it wasn't really more than the sum of its parts.
Maybe this is why we need to play Shining in the Holy Ark, or play Shining Force 3. Huh? Get some of that Camelot.
Sure.
Some of that real Camelot before, the Shining series became something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would put it around, I don't know, maybe
than Bahamut Lagoon.
I don't like Bahamut Lagoon. I think Bahamut Lagoon is the definition of late era SNES game that is trying more than the SNES can handle.
Yeah.
I would put Golden Sun, probably put it below Hybrid Heaven or above Hybrid Heaven.
Yeah, that feels about right.
If you are angry at us for our take, please join the Deep Listens Discord, give us money, and then tell us we're full of shit. And then, as punishment, I'll have to play Lunar Dragon Song.
You Golden Sun fan 69, you can tell us we're full of shit and wrong.
Hello, because you person who is probably my exact age, tell me why I'm wrong. All right.
Yeah.
Any feelings about putting it below Anachronox, above Hybrid Heaven?
I think that's fine. I think
that's absolutely fine.
All right.
Maybe we do one more game ranking?
Yeah, let's do one more, and then we'll save the rest for a rainy day. And I can tell you fuckers why you were wrong about Pillars of Eternity 2.
That's fine.
All right. Nier Automata.
Oh, boy.
Is that an RPG?
I have a comment from Adam Borgmaster Redacted here. Well, he said Mass Effect 1 is the only worthwhile polygonal BioWare game, which
that's not true.
That's legally wrong.
Okay,
that's legally untrue.
I'm glad we could read that so we can slander him. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what he says about Nier. Also, Nier Automata is art, and I stress that with everyone needing to go fuck themselves. Anyway, I like Nier Automata.
Is it an RPG? Is it an RPG?
You're in weird
Is it an RPG?
company
Not
here.
really.
It's an action game, man.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Nier Automata. But it's an action game through and
Yeah,
through. That's always been kind of my
We don't
thing.
have to gnash our teeth about it. It
Yeah.
is an action game where your health is represented in numbers, and if it
Yeah.
wasn't represented in
The
numbers,
level goes up.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, you're not making the RPG is not the central part of that game.
no. So let's skip this one. Go to
Yeah.
the next thing
All
that
right.
is
Disco
maybe an RPG. Disco
Okay,
Elysium is an RPG.
Disco Elysium is the reason why this podcast exists. That and me buying, Xenosaga 3 with my stimulus check.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll play it someday.
And I'll play it someday. I mean, I like Disco Elysium a lot. I think Disco Elysium is a tad bit overrated. I think that game loves the smell of its own farts. This might be one of the few cases where like very online people who are way into it actually does annoy me. But also Disco Elysium is like fucking great. Just this sad communist cop game.
Also, I know we can't factor it in, but I have a hard time going back to Disco Elysium knowing what that studio was all about. I get
Knowing
it.
the part where
Like it was
some
like
of the people,
one of the worst workplaces in the industry. Like
yes.
I understand separate the art from the artist and like there's an element that here, but I honestly do think that now that we know what we know, it's kind of a weird game to go back to in a lot of ways.
I can see that. It definitely, like any good leftist movement, all of the former members of
pancakes, apparently.
Zaum have split off into their own splinter groups, and each of them are making what they proclaim to be the true successor to Disco Elysium.
Yeah, there's so many people who are now claiming that they are the future of Disco Elysium, or they represent what the creators wanted, or they were the ones that actually made the game special, or it's a mess. If you don't know what I'm talking about, like you're better off not knowing.
The development of that game was a mess from top to bottom. And there's a lot of, let's say there's just a lot of he said, she said shit, but the general impression I get is that no one comes out clean.
No one really. And it sucks. But
because that game is such a special, weird thing.
Yeah, and like the thing that I personally go back to the most when I play that game is like they really do leave no stone unturned in that game with like your dialogue choices and the ways in which characters respond to you. Like it truly is interesting, at least conceptually, to like role play in that game. You can role play in that game in ways that I think are kind of fun. It's a scumbag simulator at its heart. Like, I make no qualms about that. It truly is a scumbag simulator where you're surrounded by scumbags and you're encouraged to be like terrible. But there's something to the world that just still works for me in a weird way.
It's because it's 3 city blocks.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
And because it is such a tight scope, that's what makes it work. I don't know. I don't feel like getting yelled at by people for my insufficient understanding of Marxism, Leninism.
I don't know. I understand, Gino, that you were not the biggest fan of that game, even when you played it at the time, but
I wasn't.
it it did play an important role in like making that more traditional tabletop CRPG become popular again. That part is undeniable.
That is true.
Um,
It did do a lot to elevate its genre to a new audience.
and the amount
Um,
of writing in that game from that team was impressive at the time. And it still kind of is because there's so much writing in that game.
that is definitely true. I just did not find oscillating between communism and fascism uh, a general kind of look
Excuse
everyone
me, you
look
can
Well,
at.
also be a centrist and
you
also
can
a
be a
sorry
centrist.
cop.
Uh, but hey,
Can be, and it hates all of these
Gino,
ideologies equally.
I hate to say it, but looking at where the world is today, I hate to say it, but buddy,
But look, I get it, but did not enjoy this game at the time that much. I
yeah,
thought it
that's
liked the smell
totally
of its own
valid.
farts too much for my liking.
Kind of like a Square Enix game.
Oh, I
We're
don't
not
know.
relitigating this.
We're not. Where would you put it though?
It's better than Final Fantasy IX. No, I'm just kidding.
Uh, listen,
Is it better than Dragon Age 2?
Yeah, it is. I
It is,
genuinely
right?
would
think it
put,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, it is. It is
It is,
genuinely
right?
better than Dragon Age 2.
yeah.
Better than NBA 2K16 featuring a Spike Lee joint?
It's
Hmm.
genuinely got a better story, and I
Yeah.
find that there are people who stick around with you more than like DJ and fucking Trey, whatever the hell his name is.
Remember
Excuse me,
when
my caveman frequency vibrations will stick with me
Freak,
forever.
right? Freak.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
remember when
I
your
mean,
buddy is in that white sweatshirt telling you
hmm,
about what he
I mean,
did?
yeah, I like Disco Elysium a lot. I have never felt the need to go back to it, I guess is what I'd say.
Mhm.
And also at the time I was the asshole going, "You fuckers need to play Planescape Torment." Which
I'll
I'm
play
not that
Planescape
person
Torment.
anymore, but
Hey man, as someone who used to be if you pinned me down and asked me what do I think is the actual best CRPG, there was a period of time when I thought it was Planescape Torment.
yeah,
And now, no, probably Original Sin.
Original Sin 2.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I mean, that's a different podcast episode.
I feel like
Because
Original Sin 2 has taken the
we could
Planescape
hash that
argument.
out and get into some real slugfests. But I would put this game. Mm, I mean, if I had my way.
If you had your way.
If I had my way, I like the weird fucked up system driven games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put this, I don't know.
It's hard, man. I think there's more to Disco Elysium than just saying like it's a visual novel. I think the
Yeah.
people who characterize it as a visual novel sometimes make the make a couple of like I don't like the people who characterize Disco Elysium as a visual novel is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I find that
I
very
I think the
reductive.
RPG elements in that game work for the kind of game they're making, even if some of it is definitely a little bit strained. But is it better or worse than Eternal Sonata?
I would say yeah.
Okay.
I think for us and you and me, I got
Yeah.
more out of Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
Well,
I would. Yeah.
I got more out of it.
Yeah.
So we're below Eternal Sonata?
Yeah. No, it's above it. I would
Ah.
argue that.
Ah.
Go back to your linear Jerpigas, Dad.
Look,
Yeah.
it's fine. It is a better game than Eternal Sonata, but dang,
better.
Is it a better experience?
that's
Yes.
the question.
Yes, also.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes,
it is
also as
also.
well.
Yes. I don't know. I would put this below Arcanum.
I can get behind that.
Because
I
I still Arcanum's maximalism is the most admirable / nightmarish part of that game,
Yeah.
and there's something beautiful about it.
Sure.
Even though, once again, it's no fun to play, even if you know what to do. All right, well, I think we've sufficiently had enough hot takes to make everyone angry.
Wait, don't we oh right, we don't count the Final Fantasy podcast.
No, we're not doing Final Fantasy.
I was gonna say,
pod.
what about Chrono Cross?
I mean, we could.
I think we
We-
should rank Chrono Cross.
Okay. Chrono Cross Baby Daughter Clone.
Yeah, dude, fucking
Baby
A,
Daughter
man.
Clone
If you want to
is
talk about a
above-
game that actually matches blow for blow by crazy of Threads of Fate and even like Eternal Sonata, Chrono Cross is up there, dude.
Yeah. No,
It is
Chrono
one of
Cross-
the balls to the wall craziest games.
Yeah,
The combat system is very meh.
The combat
Like,
system's a
eventually
mess.
It gets there. It gets there, kind
The
of.
mechanical system is a mess. The multiple characters don't really pan out. But by God,
Boy,
God,
it has the best soundtrack of any game. Like, it might even have one of the best, I would push, one of the best soundtracks on the PlayStation 1.
I agree.
yeah.
Yes.
But
The
the
only game with
story
a
of
soundtrack
Chrono
that I
Cross,
think
man.
is better, that like right off the bat, the only game we played that I would say is like has a comparably better soundtrack is Panzer Dragoon Saga and maybe Parasite Eve.
Okay, maybe Parasite Eve. I would also throw in Yuzo Koshiro's Etrian Odyssey soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that game genuinely has like
Yeah.
incredible music. But
Okay.
boy, dude,
Where are
the
we putting Chrono
story
Cross?
of Chrono Cross, man.
Where are we putting it?
Is
Gino,
it above or
anything you wanna say?
below Eternal Sonata?
It's below Eternal Sonata because
Yeah.
Eternal Sonata, and it's below Breath of Fire 3 because Breath of Fire 3 is actually fun to play.
Yes.
In that case, what if we put it
Next to NBA 2K16
next to
featuring a
NBA
Spike Joint?
2K16
I
or
would put it
Wizards and
above
Warriors?
I would put it above NBA 2K16, but maybe
right.
below Wizards and Warriors.
But the
Okay.
list does not allow
That's
for
not
that.
how the list works.
No, okay,
So,
but how about
it's above
above
NBA
I would put
2K?
it below Wizards and Warriors because I like that game more than all of you.
Remember when you get draggy though?
Yeah.
Remember when, Skeleton Man meets his girlfriend on his
clown.
wannabe? Yeah.
Yeah, remember when you get that alien?
Yeah.
Braden.
Mojo?
Let's not beat around the bush. Baby daughter clone.
Baby Daughter Clone. Yeah.
What about
But also-
Chrono 15?
Have you seen Wizards and Warriors?
Remember the credit sequence where it's a bunch
Where
of
Kid is
real-time
in
bullshit,
modern day
and it's an
Tokyo?
actual white woman with blonde hair in modern Tokyo.
Or yeah, it's someone cosplaying as Kid walking around. Okay, yeah, fine. I'll put it. I would put it below NBA 2K16
Okay,
because
I can
NBA
compromise.
2K16
Is a life choice.
is doing that in a sports game.
Okay, I can compromise.
Okay,
You win.
Okay, so it is above NBA 2K16?
it's below NBA 2K16 and it's below Wizards, or it's above Wizards and Warriors and
Uh-huh.
below NBA 2K16.
Okay. Checks out.
That checks
Chrono
out. I
Cross.
support this.
Yeah, Chrono
Cross is on our
Cross.
list.
Chrono Cross is
I don't know. It sounds like they made that remaster, republish, or remake thing playable with a good
that
frame
remaster
rate
lets
now.
you turn off random encounters, which immediately makes that game like 60% more playable.
Apparently, it's not technically scuffed anymore, which is great to hear. But yeah, man, fucking A, man. That's a video game.
All right, we did it. We ranked some video games.
Yeah, Gina, remember when that was the punishment game and it was actually baller?
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, now we have to play like Lunar Dragon Song and Duke Nukem Forever.
And you can make that happen by supporting the show on patreon.com/deeplistens.
That's great. Thank you, SuperSex420, for doing our theme song. Thank you, Gino.
Thank you, Aiden.
Thank you, Christopher.
I did this with a heart full of passion.
And yeah, as for me, I think anyone who angrily says we're wrong or takes it wrong, no, fuck you. Pay us money.
Yeah, what happened to people paying money out of spite?
Yeah.
Where are you people anymore?
There's no such thing as cheating in a single-player game. There's no such thing as complaining in a non-paying Discord. Is that anything?
Yeah. That's a podcast.
All right, that's a podcast.